Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell. You know what time it is. It is 11 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning. It's time for Thrive, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty into your greatest competitive advantage. Listen, today we are going to talk about one of the most important things that you can do if you want to grow your business in the face of uncertainty. That is, we're going to talk about referrals. And we're not only going to talk about referrals, but we're going to talk to the master of referrals, the person who understands more about referrals, pretty much more than anybody else. I've got my pal, I've got my friend, I've got my expert here, Verl Workman. So let's go ahead and start this show. All right, welcome back to Thrive. And again, I just want to go ahead and welcome Verl to the show. Verl, I always like to start out by having my guests tell their story. Tell us a little bit about you. And I want you to go deep because you've got a great story. I mean, the story of how you turned into the real estate icon you are is really an incredible story. So let's dive in there.
You want to dive in? All right. So first of all, thank you for having me. And what a cool podcast and a live stream that you have in helping people deal with uncertainty, because there's so much of it.
So much uncertainty.
It's so much. Everybody's sitting on the sidelines waiting for something to happen so they can re-engage in their lives. And I'm just not into that. I'm into just like pouncing and when everybody else is sitting on the sidelines. So I go back to, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Is probably the most important thing to know about me is that, I grew up in poverty and my father was disabled. I was very young with 7 kids. And so I just learned at a really early age that if I wanted something, I had to go work for it. So my first real business was selling hot tubs and satellite dishes when I was 21 years old. And we did that for about 8 years. And when I closed my stores after 8 years of a great business, they changed the business, right? We used to sell these big 10-foot satellite dishes and make $1,000 every time we sold one, to a little 18-inch dish where we made $68. And I couldn't physically make up the difference in overhead by doing higher volume. It just wasn't physically possible. And so we closed our store, and I, during my going out of business sale, sold 7 $10,000 home theaters to a guy that became my mentor in real estate. And he had a production building company. And he said, "Bro, you need to come work for me. I've never seen anybody that can close like you." And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, "Well, on the back of your going out of business flyer, you drew a picture of what my room was going to look like and where the sound was going to come from. And then I wrote you a check for $35,000 knowing you were closing your doors." Said, "That's good. That's good." I'm like, "All right."
Do you know what I love though about that story is, and I want to continue the story, but I want to interject here because I think we feel like there's so much uncertainty right now, but the truth is it's always been there. There you are, just running a store, minding your own business, and then completely outside of your control, the world shifted. They changed the product and it became physically impossible to continue making a living the way that you were making a living. Right. And I think that's so important for people to understand. All right. So you find your mentor.
Well, and he called me up one day and said, "Look, you need to come sell houses for me." I'm like, I don't know anything about selling houses. I don't have big hair or a big car. I don't think I can do that, because my perception of that's what a realtor is somebody that has big hair and a big car and they drive around. I don't even know what they do. And I said, "I don't even like houses that much." And I went and met with his son, and he sat down and talked to me a little bit. And he said, "Let me ask you the question differently." He said, "What would it take to get you to come sell houses for us?" And I said, "Well, I need money, because I'm broke. So I need $5,000 a month to pay my bills and pay for my real estate school, and I'll do it." And he said, "Okay." And I was like, "What?" There's no way he should have said yes.
Yeah.
There's no way. But I was desperate, and they came from a good place of seeing something in me that I didn't even see in myself. So I did the Utah School of Real Estate at Stringham Real Estate School in 10 days. I did 90 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. He put me on salary, and then I went out there to his model homes, and I got trained by the 2 gals, number 1 and number 2 in his company. And my first day in the job, I remember sitting in the open house and they're like, okay, I'm number one and I'm number two. And your job is don't speak. Like, you're not allowed to talk. Somebody's going to come in, do not speak. I'm like, okay. And so I'm following them around and they get busy. And all of a sudden a couple comes in the model home and I'm like,
don't speak.
Like, what's the matter? I'm like, I can't talk. I'm the new guy. I said, but everybody's out with someone. So do you know what you want? What brings you in? They go, we're looking to get a house. I said, okay, well, I've got this little puzzle piece that I can drive around with you. We can look at lots and then I'll go show you the models and we can fit your model on the lot. Then, we can talk about what it takes. They go, okay. So I'm like, can you guys drive? Because I don't have a car. So I got the back of their car. They drove me around all these lots and they fell in love with a lot. And it had a $5,000 premium on it. And I remember this specifically. And then we went back to look at model homes. And like, I'm selling hot tubs and satellite dishes at the state fair. Like, when you come in my booth, I'm closing. Like, I don't know. That's how I eat. And right. So I'm like, you like the house? They go, yeah. I says, you like the lot? Yep. I said, if I get to that house on that lot, do you want to get it? They go, yes. I'm like, oh crap. Now I don't even know what to do. Not only do I not know how to write a contract, I don't even know where they keep them. I don't even know where they are. So right. Number one and number two come back in the office and I'm like, hey, these are the Johnsons and they want to get lot such and such. And they're like, you weren't supposed to speak. And I got in trouble. And then one of them sat down with me and they wrote the deal, but they split it with me. And so that was my first transaction. I think I did 37 transactions in my first quarter in real estate. But within 6 months, they were both working for me as their sales manager. And I wrote my first little ebook was 100 critical path to 100 new home sales a year. And so I wrote a little program on that and that kind of launched me in real estate. But what I found was I love real estate, but I didn't feel like it was my cap. I felt like I didn't feel like that was my calling. Yeah. I always wanted to be a speaker. And from the time I saw Zig Ziglar and Dr. Schuler and Tom Hopkins at a motivational rally at the University of Utah when I was a senior in high school, I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah. I was told by my DECA club teacher that that's not realistic and you need a more realistic path. I'm like, well, who crushes the dreams of a child? Right. Anyway, so that's the long story short. So the guy that owned the computer store next to my satellite dish store came to me one day and said, hey, Verl, I'm going to figure out how to sell laptops to realtors. I'm like, really? How are we going to do that? He goes, I don't know. We're going to do seminars. I'm like, I'm in. So we started doing these 50 people half-day seminars for realtors, teaching them they could make more money with technology. Became the largest technology training firm in North America for real estate, sold that to homes.com. And then that really is what put me on the map as a speaker, because they went out and raised $70 million and could buy ourselves on whatever stage we needed to be on by sponsoring events. And that's kind of where I elevated. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in that process, but I learned probably the most important thing in all of that was, it was at every phase of my business and life up to that point, it was the relationships that I built that buoyed me to the next phase of my career. The relationships were the currency that you can't put a monetary value to. And so building relationships of trust, which is why the builder guy hired me in the first place, is because I took the time to understand their family, to know what they really wanted, give them a product or service that they needed. And then I actually delivered on it. Had I not delivered, there wouldn't have been an opportunity. Right. And the same things happened throughout my career. And I've had lots of starts and stops, Meridith, like lots of failure. I'd say that I'm a serial entrepreneur that has grown because of failure. And every time there's been a challenge or uncertainty or a failure, I never look at it as, oh my gosh, it's over. I always look at it as, okay, what's next? Like, failure is not really an option. And so because this thing isn't working, now what are we going to do next? Because I've got to re-engineer my life. I had this crazy epiphany the other day.
Oh, you got to tell us what it is.
I got to tell you what it is. Okay. So we, we're talking about Raving Referrals, right? So I wrote this book, Raving Referrals, with
which you all need to get the book, and we'll put all that in the show notes.
Yeah, it's just awesome. It's awesome. I wrote it with Ben Barnum,
just a great book.
Of HOA.com. And okay, was that? Oh yeah. So I was reading my own book, and I got to the place where we talk about setting goals and goal setting. And we talked, and everybody talks about doing SMART goals. I've heard about SMART goals since I was a child. And as I was saying it out loud, I realized I did not believe it. How many people do you know that have accomplished anything amazing or extraordinary by setting attainable or realistic goals?
Absolutely not.
The why the crap are we teaching it?
Yeah. And, I think that anybody that I know who was wildly successful treated a goal as something to blow through. Like the moment that they were in like corporate America and corporate America set the goal, they just blew by it. Like they were, while other people would, do you remember this? Like when you would, Steve Powell's on here and he and I were in the banking industry together. And I remember like basically people would hit their monthly goal and then they would sandbag for the next month.
Oh,
And then the people who were crazy successful would just throw everything they could on the goal. And then they loved the idea of starting from scratch the next month. I mean, the turn on was to blow past the goal.
okay. So I use those exact words. Like you just took the whole summary of a SMART goal and said it was designed for sandbaggers who didn't want to be held accountable to next month's goal. And so they underperformed. So then they didn't have to be held accountable. And I just think, okay, I don't want SMART goals ever again. I'm only doing stupid goals.
Yeah.
And so so I'm doing stupid goals. So here, you ready for my stupid goals?
Yes.
Stupid goals are, they're strategic,
Okay.
transformative, unrealistic, purpose-driven, innovative, and dynamic.
All right. You heard the new acronym there right now.
Stupid goals.
Taking away SMART goals, and now we're into stupid goals. Verl, it's so interesting. When I started researching uncertainty, and I started a lot of my keynotes this way, talking about you've got to have this relentless vision, this vision that you're so focused on. And the relentless vision is kind of like a stupid vision. It's the vision of what you want for your life. And the most amazing thing to me is that the mind will find what it focuses on. It's incredible. Like the odds that you would wind up where you are, like if we'd have done the test case, the research of the odds are almost probably slim to none, right?
Completely unrealistic.
1 of 7 kids in a poverty-stricken family, all those types of things, they're unrealistic. But if I could have any dream in life, it is for people to literally write down that vision, write down those stupid goals, and focus your mind like crazy on it. And the mind will find a way to get there.
I've been researching people that achieve extraordinary results,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have something in common. And one of the things they have in common is their goals are so stupid and unrealistic that most people are afraid to say them out loud because they don't want other people to make fun of them or tell them they can't do it. And so if you don't have one that is so unrealistic, get one.
Yes.
Like, someone says to me, I want to make $1 million a year in real estate. And I'm like, well, what if it was $1 million a month?
Right.
Like, how would that change your life? How would that change the lives of the people you lead? How would that change the community you serve or the people you want to give back to? And so when you look at people like Michael Phelps, who, the chance that he can get all those medals and win them all in one Olympics is so unrealistic. You're more likely to get struck by lightning twice in the same year. Right. Okay. So, but what he does is he figures out what has to happen to get there. And then he reverse engineers, and then he focuses on the micro things he does in the pool today, the 100th of a second that he can pick up by touching the wall set differently. It's the little things that you work on that will help you get there. When you look at the stupid goal, it's not possible, but when you reverse engineer it, I'm saying gloves off, let's go.
So I want to back up to a couple of things, and then I want to get into really talking about your book, because we don't talk about referrals enough. Yeah. And I know you wrote this for the real estate industry, but the truth is it goes into any industry. I was reading your book and thinking, I don't ask for it enough in my business either. But I want to back up, so right from the very start, you say relationships, but you are also incredibly resilient. Do you think that comes from, do you think you're born with that? Do you think that comes from, I was 1 of 7 kids and there was nobody coming to the rescue? Like what creates that drive? And the reason I'm asking is because I tell people all the time that I really believe the only reason I'm successful is because I'm the last one standing. When everybody else gives up, I'm not any smarter. I'm not any more talented. I just keep coming back until I'm successful. But what drives that? And how could somebody build that in themselves?
Boy, that comes down to your P. It's your purpose driven, right? It's what is it that
Mm,
really drives you? Some of my stupid goals when I started this company 10 years ago is I wanted to build a business that was an 8-figure business that my family would want to be part of. And most people, the way they do their business or the way they run their life, their kids don't want to work for them because they see
yes.
how they kill themselves in their business. They don't want to do it. And so for me, it's that the purpose behind it is that I feel like I have stewardship over my 6 children and my 11 grandchildren, and that my responsibility is to create an environment where they can thrive, where they want to be part of it. If you ask me what my greatest legacy is, it's not how much money I make. It's that I have my 3 oldest kids, all 3 of my married kids work with me in my business. And they're not just work with me, but they're good. Like my daughter's the president of the company. She runs it, and she's phenomenal. My son's running sales and marketing. I got a son's a closer. And they add real value. But the coolest thing is I get to be with them every day, and they choose to live by me. I don't have to go travel to see my kids or my grandkids. They all live
Yeah.
within 5 miles. So for me, it's that purpose. And so when I look at, if you look at real estate right now, look at the world right now, all the uncertainty in the world. We have tariffs, we've got uncertainty with politics, we've got new forms of discrimination and hate, and things are going on in the world, and it creates uncertainty, and that causes people to pause. What I look at is when people have uncertainty, I look for opportunities to serve. And so how do we help people find solutions when everybody else gets paralyzed by uncertainty? How do we serve? And we talk about serving regardless of opportunity.
Yeah.
So I guess that's for me. I don't know how to teach how to be wired. I think you have to decide what's more important than you. I think that most people won't do it for themselves. But if you really genuinely care, by the way, today's my 39th anniversary. My wife and I have been
Oh,
married 39 years.
congratulations.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and she still likes me most of the time. Most of the time. 39 years. Can you believe that? All the stuff we've been through. And she's like, I still believe that you can make things happen. I still believe that when things are uncertain, that we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And to have that is probably one of my secret weapon to success is my wife, who is unbelievable. I can't even describe what next level means, but I married way above my
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a God thing. So, all right. So, purpose driven, have a real core motivating value. If it's you won't do it for yourself, but you do it for your kids, your grandkids.
Yeah.
And now I look at, okay, so I've got a bunch of employees that work for me and all their families. And then I have 75, almost 100 coaches that coach for me and all their families. And then they coach thousands of people. And so, but the stewardship for me making the right decisions is so significantly, that weighs on me more than anything. I have a responsibility to create profitability and to create security for the people that I lead. And if I don't run a profitable business, and if I don't create security for it, even through adversity, then I'm failing as a leader. So that's what drives me, is the stewardship of the people who rely heavily on the decisions that I make. And I get up every day and I love what I do. And I say, okay, so man, people are hurting right now. They're frustrated. They're insecure. They don't know where the next dollar is going to come from. So what do we need to give them? Well, let's give them a listing services checklist and help them get the inventory that's not moving. So
anything that they can do to move forward. So, Verl, I knew this before this interview, but the truth is you could have written a book on so many different things. You do. Your life has been so interesting. The things that you have overcome, what you have built, and as you said, the number of times when you've sort of been pushed backwards and you've used that as an opportunity to propel forward. Why referrals?
Well, I think it really comes back to my last this business, Workman Success System, started 10 years ago. And so I just turned 61 last week. So at 50, I got fired. I had merged my company with another company. I got fired. And I went and so my daughters work in the back of the room with me. And on a plane ride back from South Carolina, we got online and we built a mind map of what we wanted Workman Success to look like. And during that process, I made a list of all the things that I needed in order to start this business. And financial capital was not the top 10. They were all,
Wow.
I needed a brand. I needed messaging and marketing. I needed, you know what I mean? I needed clients. I needed events. But like capital wasn't the big thing. I needed some, but not a ton. So I went in, I said, okay, so how do I get this if I don't have the money to do it? And I went into my Rolodex, which I'm going to say I have an American Express black card in relationship capital. And people came out of the woodworks who I had helped over the years to help me with everything I needed to start. And within 2 weeks, we were in business.
Wow.
I did my first seminar. We sold 13 private coaching clients. It was Exit Realty of New York. And I didn't have any coaches. And so I sold them, and we had to build a coaching program, train coaches, get them developed, and now deliver it. And it was awesome. And some of those clients are still with us. You know, we're still coaching them today. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So what happens is the relationship capital is everything. So we wrote the book on Raving Referrals. Brandon Barnum has a franchise over Raving Referrals, and he came to me and he said, "Look, I know some of the people that you've worked with over the years. They have these incredible businesses on referrals. How do you do it?" And we started talking about the principles. We were aligned in our values, and so I co-wrote this version of the book for the real estate industry with Brandon. And I'll tell you what, it's been really hard for him not to use what I taught in every industry, because like we teach a program called Top 50. And so we talk about, hey, make a list of the 50 people in your life who are most likely to give you one referral a year. And the system is to have one personal touch with them every single month. So get on the phone, have a conversation, go to lunch, break bread, go out as couples. These are the people that can refer you speaking gigs. They can refer you cars. They can refer you houses. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. But there are 50 people who know, like, and trust you. And then you activate the database and teach them. We call it the art of the ask. We actually teach them how to give you referrals. And if I call you up and say, "Hey, Meridith, it's that time of the month. I'm calling you. Who do you got?" And you can say, "Oh my gosh, Verl, I just spoke here and they need this message." And like when I activate it, and you have to, I'll tell you that the only way you can activate that is come from a place of, what can I give you first?
Yeah.
And so how do I serve? And I try and do that. Like, I don't know how many speakers I've met with, how many people I've tried to help with their businesses, and I've never asked for anything in return. But I'm hoping that if I activated that list and said, "Hey, I need some business, I need to get some gigs, here's some things that I'm doing different," I could activate that list. So anyway, I'm just saying that we serve first, and then we activate our list.
Well, so what is somebody's referral score?
So referral score is really cool. So it's basically a quiz. You can go on to ravingreferrals.com and you can say, take the quiz, and it takes you through a series of questions about how active your database is. You know, I think it's really interesting that a lot of people will say that, "Oh, my business is all referrals." Like, how many people do you know would say, "Oh, my business is all referrals"? I'll say, "Oh, that's really cool." But how many people are in your database? Let me give you an example in real estate. Okay. So if you have 200 people in your database, we know that about between 7 and 10% of your database moves every year. And so I'll have an agent tell me, "Oh, I'm a referral master. I pop by people's houses with a jar of jam, and they get my football calendar they put on the fridge every year, and all my business is referrals." I'll say, "Okay, how much business you do?" And they'll say, "Oh, last year I did 8. I'm like, "That's awesome. How many people in your database?" "Well, I have 8,000. I said, "Okay, so because your business is all referrals, does that mean you're getting all the referrals you should from your business?" And the answer is no. Well, what the referral score does is it helps you identify where those gaps are, so that you can go, "Oh, now I see where the gaps are." And then we have strategies then to fill those gaps. So once you take the referral quiz, you identify, "Oh, I'm not getting what I should." If you did 8 and you got 8,000 in your database, you should have done about 1,600 transactions. And so you're not even playing in the referral world. You're not even a player. You're a pretender.
You're a dabbler.
That takes the easy business that comes to you because they're your family members or close friends. You're not working, activating, and serving your database.
So what is that? What's that link again to take the quiz?
Just go. It's ravingreferrals.com.
Ravingreferrals.com.
Let me see. Let me make sure I get
That's okay. We'll put that up there. We'll make sure we've got it right in the
referral champion.
Yeah.
Referral champion.
Oh yeah, everybody needs to go take that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to go take that quiz. Well, Verl, it is hard to believe, but we are at the end of this podcast.
No.
I know you got to come back on, because we have just basically, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to get you rescheduled because I want to come back on and have a much deeper conversation around this. But I always end my podcast with 2 questions, and you can answer them in either direction. How do people find out about you? How do they find out about the book? And if you were going to give this audience, people out there who are struggling with uncertainty, one piece of advice about how to turn uncertainty to competitive advantage, what would your piece of advice be?
Okay. I'll take the second one first. My piece of advice for people who are struggling with uncertainty is that only action determines our value.
Okay.
And
talk a little bit more.
And so what I mean by that is the wait and see, the pausing that happens during uncertainty is your worst enemy. And that we have to stay actively engaged in doing anything that moves us towards a goal, even though we're not certain about what the outcome is. You have to be active. You have to be picking up the phone and making calls. You have to be investing in the things that you can control. And so when I look at uncertainty, I always say, okay, what can I control? I can't control what Donald Trump's going to do. I can't control what they're doing in Israel or in anywhere in the world. I can't control that. I can't control what Harvard does on their campus. What I can control is what I do between 9 and 10 o'clock today. And I can choose to do things that put me in a position to have conversations that will create sales, or I can choose not to. I can do fake work, or I can do things. So activity breeds productivity. If there's no activity, you can't even have the hope of productivity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. So that is so good.
So just get up and get going.
Yeah.
You know, I love you because I know every day you make prospecting calls.
I do every day of my life.
And it doesn't matter what's going on in the marketplace.
No, it doesn't.
Why you thrive. So that would be it. And then what was and how to get a hold of me?
Yeah. How do we get a hold of Verl? How do we get the book? All that good stuff.
Okay. The book's on Amazon. That's where I want you to go get it. Get it on Amazon. It's Raving Referrals for Real Estate. Get the real estate version. There's more content in there. And then on the Referral Champions website, there is so much more content and downloadable resources. You'll see more about my serve regardless of opportunity, because I give away all my stuff. The things that you would usually get in coaching, I just say, you know what, I'm just going to give it to everybody, because I know people will copy everything except the hard work that it takes to be successful. And so I give it to my competitors. I give it to everybody, because most people aren't willing to put in the effort. So put in the effort at workmansuccess.com, or you can email me direct, Verl at workmansuccess.com. Find me on LinkedIn. Verl, there's not a lot of Verl Workmans in the world.
Not a lot of Verls out there.
No.
Well, you have been amazing, and the audience really you need to go take the quiz. You need to get the book, and you need to follow Verl, because it is chock full of it. You are the living example of turning uncertainty into competitive advantage. So again, thank you for being here today, but we want to get you back on.
Great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And thank you, audience, for chiming in. And remember, join us here every single week. We have incredible guests and incredible ideas on everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty into your greatest competitive advantage. I'll see you next week.